fact of the matter is that medical device cybersecurity is a national security issue. So in my experience, the agency is not waiting for the guidance to go final in order to start implementing some of the concepts.
Hey everyone, my name is Vidya Murthy. I'm excited to have you join us in week 2 of Myth Hackers. This week, we're going to be talking about the myth that guidance means it's optional. And who better to have this conversation with than Seth Carmody, formerly of the FDA, who contributed heavily to this guidance document. Seth, thanks for being here. I'm excited to have this conversation with you.
Awesome to be here. Thank you.
So, get straight to it. I've heard a lot of debate around folks saying that the FDA chose to make guidance as opposed to making it regulation. Can you provide a reality check on what guidance actually means and how this impacts folks?
Yeah, it's kind of nuanced, so I can understand the confusion that people have, especially at the top of a guidance document. They say, these recommendations are non-legally binding, and it's true. Guidances aren't law. But they are a methodology that the agency is saying is sort of top of mind for them to meet the law. So manufacturers tend to adopt them whole cloth because they see it as a way to reach the market faster. And guidances are really a powerful tool if you think about it. Even though they're not regulation, they're not the law. They're powerful because they can say, hey, look, for a topic is evolving as cybersecurity, it gives the agency a mechanism, a flexible mechanism that can evolve, as opposed to like proffering or promulgating a regulation which can't change. You can have a guidance.
I think that normalizing of willingness to change your perspective and learn is not something maybe people are used to seeing in a government agency. So I definitely see the utility of using them.
Yeah, it's a great point, because, and this sort of emphasizes that security is different than traditional topics that come across the FDA desk. They're very much a clinical organization, and so are medical device manufacturers, for that matter. So you see things like measuring an analyte. Well, it may change over time. The photons that are emitted from a particular chemical entity, those things don't tend to evolve over time, right? So they're more sort of, we put the thing out and it sort of stays true forever. And security is a completely evolving topic, right? So by nature, the guidance structure fits well with that evolutionary need.
So that kind of segues perfectly into my next topic here. It sometimes feels like there's these two different worlds in how people are thinking. One says guidance, standards, I'm going to live and die by that and do explicitly what it tells me to do. And then there's this other worldview that says, hey, it's a guidance, it's a methodology. I'm going to interpret that and try to optimize for getting my device as quickly as possible out into the market with whatever the bare minimum of security is. How do you see this? Is it a trend you're seeing? Do you feel like there's a similar tension between these views? Have you experienced anything like this?
Yeah, there's sort of a model baked into what you're talking about. Traditionally, what's happened is the FDA puts out a guidance. The manufacturers know that this is the path of least resistance. It's the way that the agency's thinking. So manufacturers, for all sorts of reasons, just say, hey, look, we're going to meet the guidance. And that model has held true. It holds true for things like analytical performance and sterility, biocompatibility, and other clinical issues. It even holds true for things like software features, where you can objectively measure or observe the behavior of what the device is supposed to do. And that works. Like that guidance model works. But security is different. Security is really about, at its essence, defining what a system isn't supposed to do, which really represents an infinite requirement space, and then the model starts to break down. I mentioned in the answer to the previous question, healthcare does healthcare, right? And security, to get it right, to comply with the guidances, manufacturers need to spend. They need to build that capacity in their organization. And right now, the economic model isn't really supportive of that spend. There's not really a great tie from ROI, the return on investment, to security spend dollars. It's a little bit murky right now. So what I think has happened is that model's broken down a little bit. Manufacturers are playing more of a wait and see game. Not all, but I think it's a rational decision to do so. The problem is at the same time, FDA and customers are also growing in their capacity for security because they're also part of that healthcare supply chain. So we haven't quite reached that sort of sweet spot where manufacturers, FDA, and customers, we all understand what we're how we're designing for security, what adequacy means, and how we're assessing for that adequacy. Manufacturers have choices to make, and it's increasingly harder to pass through security debt to the agency. And the final point really is that the FDA, this is true when I was there, and other government entities, even for that matter, cybersecurity is a national security issue. So we sort of look to sort of the blocking and tackling and traditional approaches with guidances, but the fact of the matter is that medical device cybersecurity is a national security issue. So in my experience, the agency is not waiting for the guidance to go final in order to start implementing some of the concepts that are in there.